Welcome to the debate, where today we present a clash of perspectives. We're examining a pretty brutal, highly cinematic scene from Viktor Astafyev's Cursed and Slain. It's December 1942, deep in Siberia.
Right, and the temperature has plummeted to a lethal negative 37 degrees Celsius.
Exactly. A frozen train arrives, its iron doors screeching open, and out stumble these young Kazakh recruits wearing, well, nothing but summer uniforms.
Yeah, and the wagons right behind them are already filled with corpses.
It's just a horrifying image. The survivors, their faces blackened by soot from roasting beets over open fires during transit. They're marched to these freezing quarantine barracks known as the Devil's Pit.
Mm-hmm.
And when we look at this tragedy, we're faced with a profound tension. We have to ask, does this survival represent a triumph of the human spirit and frontline brotherhood, which is the side I'll be arguing for today, or does it expose a system that fundamentally dehumanized its own people?
And I will definitely be arguing for the systemic dehumanization side. I mean, when I look at these recruits arriving at the Devil's Pit, I don't just see soldiers, I see heavily traumatized youths.
Right.
These boys were orphans of the 1921 and 1932 famines, and, children left behind by the 1937 repressions. Sending them into the Siberian winter in summer clothes, it wasn't just some bureaucratic mix-up.
You don't think it was just a terrible logistical error?
No, not at all. It demonstrates a system that inherently viewed them as expendable, human material.
See, I hear that, but despite that unimaginable starting point, look at the remarkable micro-society that takes shape in those barracks. Under the quiet leadership of Talgat, they actually adapt.
They do adapt, yes.
Right? They peel potatoes while singing native songs, they learn Russian to communicate, and they build this incredible solidarity that eventually fuels their fearless charge during the Dnieper crossing.
I get that, but we really have to be careful not to romanticize basic, desperate survival.
Fair point.
The physical endurance they displayed only tells half the story. The real breaking point wasn't the temperature. It was the profound psychological compromises the state forced upon them.
Well, I actually see that psychological pressure as a necessary, albeit brutal, mechanism of war. Think of that environment as a literal crucible.
A crucible?
Yeah. A crucible doesn't just hold metal. It subjects it to intense heat to melt away old impurities and forge a new, much stronger alloy. The recruits' previous identities basically had to be melted down.
I don't know if I'd call it melting down impurities, though.
Well, take the moment they're starving and must eat a ration of soup containing pork. That is strictly forbidden by their religious beliefs. But Talgat ordering his men to eat that soup isn't victimhood. It's a profound act of leadership.
Oh, wow.
He is actively stripping away old dogmas to ensure their biological survival, reshaping them into a unified unit that can actually fight together.
Calling that a forging process really masks what is actually violent cultural erasure. Astafyev's imagery here is it's visceral and devastating.
It is a really tough read.
It is. The boys are weeping, crying out, Asteprea, appealing to God as their core spiritual identity is violated. They physically vomit in the corners of the barracks.
Yeah.
That isn't adaptation. That is the human body physically revolting against the state, forcing them to betray their very souls.
It is a horrific compromise, undoubtedly. But war so often requires subordinating the individual for the collective survival of the unit.
But the system didn't just rely on terrible circumstances to enforce that subordination. It actively engineered psychological terror. I mean, look at the public execution of the Snegitiv brothers.
Right in front of the freezing soldiers?
Exactly. That isn't about standard military discipline. It's a calculated mechanism of institutional terror designed to strip away any remaining individual agency. By showing these recruits that their lives means absolutely nothing, the machinery breaks their will, ensuring total, unthinking submission.
The Snegitiv execution is deeply chilling, and the weight of that institutional terror is, well, it's undeniable. However, claiming the system was entirely a cold, unfeeling machine ignores the individuals operating within it. Consider Colonel Azatayan.
Okay, yes, Azatan.
When he sees those frozen train wagons, he doesn't react with bureaucratic indifference. He is genuinely horrified. He grabs his head in despair, frantically running along the tracks, issuing desperate orders to find warm clothes and heat the barracks. That deeply human reaction proves compassion still flickered within the military apparatus.
Azatan's horror is real, sure, but it remains a mere flicker against a sweeping backdrop of calculated indifference.
You think it's too little too late?
Absolutely. His desperate orders on the platform don't erase the unforgivable systemic failure that loaded traumatized orphans into freezing wagons in the first place. The institutional cruelty always preceded any individual compassion.
And yet, those who walked out of the Devil's Pit carried an unbreakable brotherhood with them all the way to the Dnieper. History leaves us holding both of these truths at once: the devastating cost of an indifferent system and the awe-inspiring capacity of individuals to endure it.
There are truly endless complexities to explore in Astafyev's work.
Absolutely. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Please remember to drop a like, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel.
And just a quick reminder, the show is available in both Russian and English. Thanks for joining us.